up, people? It's your boy Jatoa. I'm here today in Kerbal Space Program, and we are here today to kind of build a quick counter propeller chopper. Been asked to do a few demos on these, and I figure I can just go ahead and throw one together for you. I see a lot of people doing it a way that I don't condone, by taking something like this, or taking a radial attachment point and going here and throwing on a rotor, and then they'll go here and take another rotor, and then they'll try to center this. If you try to do it this way, you're going to give yourself headaches, a lot of headaches, because this, now if you move it, it's not moving along with one another. Whereas you can use this this part here, the radial attachment, it's probably not going to be as useful as a part that's going to add more weight to the rest of your craft. So what we're going to do here first is kind of balance out the weight of our craft. We have this that may drag that back a bit. That's going to be absolutely perfect. We're not going to really be using too much of this fuel, so we don't really care about how it about its overlay or anything like that. This is really just to balance out the center of the craft. So once we have our center of the craft here, basically almost centered where we want our propeller to go, we then want to go in here and I usually grab a MK0 little fuselage here and put it right there, and now we're just going to flip it upright, and there you go. There is your nice center point. And if you want it to be even more centered, you can add two on there, so you have it kind of mirrored, and then take your intakes. This is just for styling, the intakes, and then you could throw a little tail. So now you have this little construct here. This is everything you need for placement of your propeller blades and everything, your rotors, propeller blades, even your weapon systems, they can all go right here. Okay, so we have our tail. Basically, you're trying to get all this out of the way before you decide on where to center everything. So go ahead and build all of your craft up first, and then come back later and decide, okay, this is going to be my final placement for my blades. This right here is a perfect part, because all you have to do really is line up now. Line up your green arrow with your center of mass. We want to go ahead and grab either the heavy or the standard. We're going to go with this standard rotor. We can also go ahead and grab some of these RTGs, and this is going to allow us to not have to burn off our fuel and therefore our balance of our craft. If you want, you can use your normal power. Solar power will work just fine, but if you're going to be flying at night, you'll have a little trouble maintaining that power. So let's go ahead and make sure these are kind of centered. We're actually going to put our propellers on. We're going to do this entire first one, and we're not going to use the blade S, because the S gives me trouble. So go here to your rotor and go ahead and toggle it to quad. So now we have 4 on here. And we're not going to touch anything else on here just yet. We're just going to leave it just like it is. And go ahead and add on, lastly, your controllers. You can put your controllers anywhere on here. I usually place them kind of on the sides here, because I'll only need to actively be using one of them. Let's go ahead and place on our propeller blades. You want to go to your symmetry mode, quad, and there's your first one. Okay, from here, I've seen a lot of people do the crazy thing and, you know, put on another part here and start to snap things on it. Don't do that. Just go ahead, hold Alt if you're on PC, or I can't remember what it is for PS4 or Xbox, but go ahead and duplicate this entire thing. And what we're going to do here is we're going to just put one back on right to the side of our fuel tank. So with that there, they should not be lighting up if you hover over one another. If you hover over your fuel tank, fine. Now go ahead and select your part that's currently the wrong way, rotate it upwards, and still with your snap, make sure your snap is toggled. Go ahead and grab your offset tool and pop it right there to the center. It should snap dead center to that tank. And that's the way you can use your toggle snap to kind of get around everything. Now, to move this up and down, you can just hold shift or whatever your toggle is for whatever system you're on. Drag that offset up, and now you have perfectly centered your two rotors on a single part, and you can grab that single part and center it as needed on here. So you can see here we can actually just drag the entire thing, and this is perfect for balancing. And now you have your rotor. So we want to go ahead and set this one to counterclockwise, and whatever one we set to counterclockwise, we also want to set our propellers to counterclockwise for the variant. And there you go, you have your perfectly balanced helicopter. And yeah, it should fly pretty well. Last thing to do here is to go in, and we have several controllers. Where did my other controllers come from? I thought I only had two. Oh, that's right. We duplicated the entire thing and we have the controllers. Let's get rid of two of those. All right, there we go. Okay, so let's go to controller 1, open track editor, controller 2, open track editor, and let's drag these out to here and here. So what we need to do is, one is going to be our RPM torque. The other one is going to be our blade pitch. There are several people that think several different ways, and this is really to your liking. Do you want to map out your blade torque, your blade pitch, or your RPM torque to your main throttle? Depends on what I'm doing. If I really want a nicely balanced aircraft, then I am going to put my RPM torque, and I'm going to take this and map it to my main throttle. The reason I do that is because I want to be hands-on with my blade pitch. That way I can get a lot more precision control, because I'm on a keyboard and mouse. Saying that means I have less control over how my shift and control react as far as it goes. Even a single tap can be too much. So I want to really keep a close eyeball on how well that is going to be. Sometimes it can just be a single tenth that really makes the difference in lifting. So let's go ahead and select our two rotors here. Go ahead, add RPM from the first and second one, torque from the first and second one. And what we'll do here is, in this editor, we are going to go from 0 all the way up to the top. So from here to here, that's where we're going to want to be, and that is going to be for RPM, your RPM limit. Torque, you can come here depending on how much you're lifting. 10 should actually do you just fine if you don't have a super heavy load. The heavier you're going, you may need more. You may need some additional torque. All I did there was whatever one I had active. You can actually click this to copy the value rows, and then go to the one you want to paste it in and click here to paste the values, and it'll just copy and paste it for you. That way you're sure and certain that everything is exactly alike. So here you want to go to blade pitch, and for blade pitch, what you want to do is you want to grab the top and bottom ones here and just select your deploy angle. And now for this one, you go ahead and set this to 0 for your first node, and your second node goes all the way to the top. So go ahead and copy that out and paste it in your secondary one. And that's it for that. So let's go ahead and close that out, close this, and let's make sure that these are set to deployed. And there you go, your chopper is basically ready. Just do a final double check and make sure everything is where you anticipate it to be. So go ahead, click on your center point, come out to the side as best you can, and make sure that that green line is going straight through your center of mass. That's exactly where your lift is going to be going. Alright, once you're good there, go ahead and give it a name. Tutorial chopper, dual blade, whatever you want to go. Save it, and let's go. One thing you want to keep in mind is if you hit your brakes, that's also going to initiate the brakes on your rotors. So if you want to remove the brakes from your rotors, you can. Another little trick I do sometimes is go into my action groups, set custom group 1 to my brakes on my landing gear, And so that way I can toggle that, and that'll allow me to sit still. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and grab from here my blade pitch. And we're going to kick up our rotors, get them nice and spinning. And that should be dead centered on our center of mass. So if we did everything right, this should lift off pretty easily. You see, I'm just going very small increments here. And it looks like it's a little ahead, but that's okay. These are small things you can actually adjust as you go through. And you see, we're kind of nosing up, so that means our lift is too far forward. So let's go back to our spaceplane hangar. And you see, it looks like our center of mass shifted. Unfortunately, this can happen at times when you're in the game. I have not been able to figure out what's causing that. So if you do see your center of mass shift like that, just go ahead and grab that, slide it right on back until it's dead center on there once again, and then go on with it. Let's go ahead and get everything spinning on up. Let's grab our blade pitch, and hopefully this time it didn't shift. Perfect, absolutely perfect. And you'll see we can actually tick this down some. All right, so there you go. That is a perfect little hover on our chopper, and we're just gonna nose it. We're just gonna touch this down a little bit until we get to a perfect stable hover. And right now we're at 0.5. It looks like 0.5 is the lowest we can go. And there you go, 0.5. And now we have a super stable hover for our craft. And that is probably as good as it gets for a perfect stable helicopter. Like I said, this method is pretty easy. It works really well. It's really simple. All you have to do is build your entire chopper first, put a center point that is your center of mass, and then mount everything to your center point. And that's going to allow your chopper to be extremely stable. You can take your hands off the controls and it's just going to fly really well. So everybody's been kind of asking me how I was able to do it. This is how I do it, and this is how I get a really stable hover in my crafts. So if you want it to fly in, you can just kind of nose it down, and it's going to be super easy to recover when you nose up, because it's really just well balanced, and it shouldn't be using any fuel at the moment because it's using those RTGs, because our torque's nice and low. The fuel is nothing more than just balancing. If you don't want to use fuel to balance your craft, you can use ore, you can use a number of things. RTGs, I used RTGs to balance out my super heavies that are lifting. I just put a series of RTGs around the battery, and that works really well. But other than that, that is basically it. If you are wondering how I do it, there you go. That is everything I do to build a super stable helicopter. You just have to mind that sometimes KSP will move your center of mass on your crafts, and you have to then go and recenter it. But once you do it the first time, it shouldn't happen again. This is your true center of mass on your craft. So if you have any questions, definitely let me know, and I hope to catch you guys in the next video. For now, this is your boy Jatois, and I'm out of here. Hopefully you enjoy your helicopters, and peace.